So you have seen a lot of topper interviews on the Marrow YouTube channel. And often in the comment section, students ask us, what about those who've got the ranks in hundreds or thousands? And what about those students who've got a rank of, say, 30,000, 40,000, 1 lakh, and then they've turned around things and got a very good or a decent rank with which they'll get the branch of their choice? What about those stories? So, just to highlight one of those stories, I have Dr. Manasa with me, who got a rank of 31,000 in the NEET PG exam. And then she turned it around in the INI-CET exam, with which she'll get the branch of her choice. So, heartiest congratulations, Dr. Manasa. And thank
Thank
you for
you.
taking out time and talking to all of us.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure to be here. I feel so happy.
Thank you. I think so. The pleasure is all ours. It's teamwork. It's your hard work which has paid off, and we of course are very proud and happy that Marrow played a role in your success. So, why don't you tell us about yourself? Where did you graduate from? When did you graduate? And when did you start using Marrow?
I completed my internship in this year, sir, June.
Okay.
I was a Marrow user since third year. I bought Marrow in third year because my
Mhm.
friend was using it, and I felt it was really nice, and all the videos were nice. And by third year, I bought it, but I didn't use it too much in third year. I didn't have time. I was too much into this co-curricular activities in third year.
Okay.
And in final year, when there was COVID, everywhere was locked down. I was at home.
Hmm.
I had 6 solid months, so I did all the final year subjects
Subject.
of Marrow. Yeah, all the final year subjects in Marrow.
So, all the faculties in Marrow put in a lot of effort. They do a lot of reading before recording for each edition. But any favorite faculties, any videos which you particularly like, any examples which you would like to share?
So Marrow, everything in Marrow is so nice. Every teacher is very nice. But my favorite is like Sakshi ma'am and Manisha ma'am. Both of them were so amazing. Especially Manisha ma'am made ENT so nice. We could visualize stuff. She told about the temporal bone. I mean the head, base of skull. She explained the temporal bone so well. I mean the parts of it and all. You could visualize it very easily.
Yeah, I
And
think so. That's what everyone says, that, she makes the anatomy of the middle ear look
yeah,
so easy. It looks ridiculously simple when she's teaching.
yeah, that was very fascinating. Actually, I started liking ENTs in the first video itself. I thought I didn't have the idea of this amazing stuff in the year, so it was just amazing her videos. And Rakesh sir also was amazing, sir. He made sure that he put everything in one place,
Right?
and
Yeah.
obviously you are the god of surgery. I never read anything except for your notes. I didn't even use any textbook. I just read your notes for profs, for practicals, for everything.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, can
Thank
you
you.
highlight which were the six subjects which you did during the lockdown for the
Yes, sir.
benefit of
I
users?
I did OBG, surgery, medicine,
Mhm.
orthopedics, pediatrics, and dermatology. I completed these subjects in 6 months.
For your final year, you finished these six subjects.
Yes, sir.
When you were watching the videos of these subjects, were you using the Marrow notes or were you making your own notes?
Initially started writing the notes, sir. I started with
Mhm.
OBG. I started writing the notes, and I felt it was very time taking, and I felt it was not. I didn't. And my handwriting was also not too good.
Mhm.
So then I purchased the notes, and then I read from the notes.
Yeah, so after having spoken to so many students, some students like to make their own notes and some students like to purchase the already made notes. And we always say that if you have time and if you have the inclination of making notes, definitely make your own notes. Otherwise, the more effective method would be to get the Marrow notes and just to add important points or to highlight it, and that would make things faster.
Yes, you should just customize your own notes, kind of stuff
True,
like that.
true, true, true. So that's great. So you did these six subjects in final year, but what about the other subjects which were lagging behind the first, second, third year subjects? When did
Yeah.
you pay attention to them? So your final exam got over, and then your internship started. What did you do during internship? How did you utilize Marrow then?
I actually, sir, initial 2 months of my internship was this peak of second wave of COVID, sir. So we
Mhm.
just had 6 hours of duty per day. So I used to read a little, like 2 3 hours per day, and then later part I didn't read anything, sir. I just went on enjoying my internship because it was few days left and I wanted to enjoy.
Perfect. Were you solving questions during this period?
No, so I was like very bad in my internship. I used to see video. I used to watch videos,
Mhm.
but random videos, whichever I felt like watching. I didn't have a plan or something. I didn't have a schedule. I planned for writing the next NEET. I thought I was prepared of not writing this NEET. I just gave a try this time. That's it.
Right. So, I mean, internship was busy for you and you were enjoying the clinical work and you didn't have a particular plan in action. So, you just gave NEET just because just everyone was giving it and you
Yeah,
landed up with a rank of 31,000.
yeah.
So, two questions I have. One, did working hard during internship help you in the future exams which you gave? And second, what was your reaction when you got a 31,000 rank?
For the first question, sir, it is very helpful because everything what you see in the ward, what are being discussed around, it will go into your head. Like while they're intubate, if you're there in the emergency or what the emergency ward of medicine, they intubate. Then you see a lot of things. You see all the instruments. You see the drugs. You are passively learning everything. I mean, it just goes into your head, seeing everything around. And
Absolutely.
yeah, we got a Foley's bulbs and all. I don't even need to remember them because I know all of them. I use them many times, like hundreds of times.
True.
So yeah, it is
So I
very
think,
helpful.
yeah, especially for these MCQ exams now that they're becoming more clinical, your time which you spend in the wards and clinical postings definitely helps. But more so in the INI-CET exam because their questions are, I think so, they're custom made for interns. If an intern has worked in a ward, you would be able to answer half of the clinical questions just by that knowledge.
Yes, sir. Because all of them are emergency based, and yeah,
So coming to the second question, what was your reaction when you landed up with a rank of 31,000 and how did you plan after that?
we got our result on 1st of June, sir.
Mhm.
Uh, and I was at home that day. I got my rank, and I expected this. I didn't do great, so I was not so disappointed. I knew I would do better the next time.
Mhm.
So I was not so disappointed, but I realized I have to work really hard, really hard to get what I want. So then I started studying from mid of June properly, like with a proper schedule and timetable.
Right.
Yeah, it
So
just pulled me out.
let's come to that schedule now because I think so planning is as important as the implementation. So once you got the result, you were expecting this kind of a result, but
Yes.
what were the things how you planned? I can see so many sticky notes, I can see schedules on the board behind you. So
Yes.
what was the planning like? What was the thought process and how did you approach it then?
Sir, the thing was, I wanted to complete one reading at least
Mhm.
until INI-CET. INI
Okay.
was my deadline.
Mhm.
There were some 4 months left for INI, and
Mhm.
I wanted to complete all the rank building subjects properly.
Mhm.
So first, I categorize them into subjects which I can manage with revision videos because seeing everything is you cannot see everything. They're vast and yeah.
Mhm.
So I sorted out into subjects which I'm a little good at and subjects which I'm really bad at. So the subjects which I'm really bad at, I have no like even
How
super.
did you do this categorization, if I may ask? Because a lot of students ask us this thing that how do we categorize these subjects? If I'm good at it, if I'm average at it, or if I'm poor in that subject.
So we should write a few grand texts to get to know. wrote a few grant tests, and obviously you'll get to know seeing the grant tests. The last ones are the weaker ones, and you'll be knowing. Uh, Back in your UG days, if you like a subject, you'll tend to remember it more over a longer time.
True, true. Yeah, so I think so there are multiple ways. One is what you're saying, your gut feel. If you like a subject, you definitely tend to retain it more. The
Yes,
second, you said using grant tests, the analysis which you get can help you out. And another way which I also like is that you can just approach the Q bank in a retrograde fashion. And if you're solving, if you're getting average 70% questions correct in a subject, that means your concepts are good in that subject. If not, then you need to go back to the videos and see the detailed videos. Fine,
yeah.
perfect. So, Mansa, you did your categorization into good, into average, and into the
Uh,
subjects in which you were weak. And
yes.
how did you approach each category?
So for the subject which I was good at, like the final
Hmm.
year ones, because I read the
Right.
notes and I did the question bank back in final year, so I was very like confident about these subjects.
Hmm.
Then comes the middle subject which I felt I was good at.
How did you approach the good subjects?
I saw the revision videos, sir. I
Okay,
saw the
just the
discussion,
revision.
just the revision videos,
Hmm.
discussion,
Hmm.
MCQ discussion, and I solved all the PYQs like multiple times, and I read the notes multiple times.
Perfect. So for good subjects, just the revision videos, PYQs, and you read the notes. So
Yes, sir.
that is sorted. These were the final year subjects.
Yes,
Then
sir.
the next category.
The next category was the ones which I felt I was good at, like all physiology, anatomy, and pharma. I was not good at pharma, but I read pharma since a long time, so it was fine for me. For these subjects also, I started seeing the revision videos, sir,
Hmm.
and I solved the question bank.
Hmm.
And whichever I felt I couldn't do even with these both, then I saw the main videos or read
Hmm.
the whole notes.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Okay,
at the
perfect.
end, I tried to console these subjects. I tried to make my own notes, like a consolidated one, like with few
Sure.
pages in it.
So the subjects which you did not watch the videos earlier, but you were confident in them, you just saw the revision videos, did the Q bank PYQs, and selectively watched the videos of the topics which you weren't understanding. Perfect. Now coming to the third category, which were subjects which you were weak in. What did you do for those subjects?
I watched the entire videos. I was bad at biochem. I was bad at microbio. I was bad at PSM. I didn't know where to start, so I started from the scratch.
And these are
And
subjects which are very important for INI-CET. So I'm sure they paid dividends during the exam then.
yes, sir.
Okay.
And I made sure that after reading a chapter, I made sure I made my own notes, like because the notes was very bulky, and I wasn't sure if I would revise everything at the end. So for some subjects, I made my own, like I just jot down points which I felt I would forget, and made notes for all of them.
Right. So kind of like a last minute revision strategy or a 20th notebook for these subjects so that you could
Yeah.
revise them quickly in the end.
Yes, sir.
Good, good strategy. Right. Now coming to a very important question. So you were very clear in your mind that this is how you've divided the subjects into three categories, and this is going to be your approach for each category. But you invariably talk to your friends who are also preparing, and you see others also who are preparing. So did that FOMO factor come in, and if it did, how did you manage that? Because that personally I think is one of the biggest reasons where a lot of students don't get a rank, because they make their own plan, but in between they just waver off track because they see somebody else doing some other thing, and they just think that that's more fascinating, and they waver off their own preparation strategy. So how did you manage that? How did you remain focused?
So first, you should have confidence on yourself. That is what is more important. Because there'll be distraction everywhere. There'll be new things. Every day there's a new thing. Every day there's a new platform around. They'll offer new things. They offer new stuff, simpler stuff, rapid revision. So many things around. But I feel it's like it's better to strengthen your synapses than to make new ones which are weak. So
Hmm.
I was not scared of anything. All my friends joined many places and they used to scare me a little. But yeah, it didn't matter me at the end of the day. I
So I
was
think
like
the
pretty confident.
in your plan and belief in yourself is very important, is what you're trying to say.
Yes, sir.
Perfect, perfect. And I think so. What you did very well, which is something which we try to highlight to a lot of students, is to revise the same content what you've read rather than adding more things to that existing content but not revising it. So,
Yes, sir.
talking about revision, I think so. The biggest question which everyone has in mind is that now you had 4 months left where you had to revise all the subjects and you managed that effectively. So, can you share your revision strategy with us?
Revision was important. I lacked in that, sir. I would do better, I felt, if I would revise properly. Thing was that I was only having 4 months, and it took me 3 months to just complete this one reading stuff of everything. So I was left with 1 month and 10 days. 10 days in November and the last month, 1 of October. So October, I revised my notes, all my concise notes. I made sure I didn't do mistakes in the basics, and I used to do PYQs and custom modules every day, like around 200 questions per day, custom modules. And yeah, I didn't complete revising all the stuff because there was lack of time,
Okay,
but I tried
right.
my best I could do.
Okay, perfect. So, tell me about this thing. This is something which, some students don't understand. You said that 3 months were taken away by doing those new subjects. So, effectively, you were just left with those 40 days for revision, in
Yes, sir.
which you revised the entire thing. But on a daily basis, you were solving questions, you were doing custom modules, which is also a part of revision because you were revising the other subjects while doing that.
Yes,
So,
sir.
how did you manage to divide your time one day in terms of watching the videos and solving questions? What percentage of your time was divided um, that
Uh,
day?
yes, sir. Actually, I started my day at 7. I used to start my day with a custom module. I used to make sure that from since the time I started, like the day I started from first, because I've seen many interviews of yours, only sir, telling that you like the students telling that you have to do custom modules, PYQs, and all. So I used to start my day with PYQs, 100 PYQs every day, and in the morning. And the morning shift used to be for the from 8 o'clock, I guess, from 8 to 1 or 8 to 12, whatever it is. I used to read or watch videos. I mean, depending on the day. And in the afternoon, I used to solve questions. The question bank,
Again,
or
Q
question
bank.
bank, yeah, Q bank of
Of the
some subject.
subject which you watched in the morning or some
Yes,
other subject?
no, no, the one which I've watched in the morning.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Right.
And
So that, yeah.
yes,
And that you used to do in the afternoon, and then,
yeah, in the evening, I used to switch a subject because it would become monotonous if I would just read one subject. So I used to switch another subject. Or I used
so
to
I
revise.
think.
At the later part, I used to just revise whatever I read in the like the previous week or something.
So I think it's a pretty balanced schedule, doing questions in the morning, a mixed bag custom module, then watching videos for a few hours, 3 or 4 hours, then doing questions of that subject, and then switching a subject and revising it. So I think it's a very balanced schedule you were following, and this ensured that you didn't find that the day became monotonous, and that's why
Yeah.
you could do it consistently.
Yes.
Great. Great. What about your test strategy? I mean, were you regularly appearing for grand tests after the NEET result?
Yes, sir. I used to give GTs whenever they were live, or I used to make sure every Sunday I used to give a GT.
Hmm.
Even if they weren't live, I used to give previous GTs if they were there. I used to make sure
Perfect. So
Sunday, every
every
Sunday, I used to give a
Sunday
GT.
GT. Perfect. Perfect. I think so. In the last 2, 3 months, that is what should be done, 3 to 4 GTs. Another problem which students have spoken about is the analysis of the GT. So, was the entire Sunday meant for the GT, or how much time were you taking to analyze the grand test?
Uh, Initially, I used to not analyze GT, sir. I used to
Okay.
get scared. I'm like, dude, this is so hard. And I used to feel, I used to get scared. But then I
Hmm.
realized it'll not work out for long term. Then I started giving the entire day, or at least three-fourths of the day for analyzing my GT.
Hmm.
and that improved my score. Initially, I used to have very low score, and then I started building up slowly. And yeah, I used to take an entire almost three-fourths of the day to see what mistakes I've made, and I used to categorize them as silly mistakes and factual ones and memory ones. And
Great.
if I made a silly mistake, I had to reduce them. I used to make a count of all of them. And if it is a factual one, I used to bookmark it. And if it is a
Hmm.
conceptual one, I used to read my notes to get it clear.
That's great. So I think so very methodical plan of action which you had, and almost every Sunday was devoted to this grand test. Can you talk about your rank progression in your grand test and the final grand test which you appeared for? What was the rank in that one, and did it correlate with your rank in the INI-CET exam?
Yes, initially it was very huge, it was like 10,000, 9,000 something. So
Okay.
the first GT I gave it was 9,000 something. And so I decided I have to reduce little, like step by step, at least 1K per week or something like that. And to my surprise, within 2, 3 weeks, my rank was plateaued at 3,000, like 2,000, 3,000, 2,000, 3,000.
Great.
And then the next month, and from a few weeks later, like some 4, 5 weeks, after 4, 5 weeks, it was plateauing between 600 to 1,000, like for
Hmm.
till the end.
Right. Perfect. So it correlated with your INI-CET rank
Yeah,
then.
yeah, yes, sir.
Perfect. Perfect. So that was regarding your grand test strategy. What about the Q Bank? Over the course of having Marrow for almost 3 years, did you finish all the Q Bank modules?
No, I couldn't finish all of them, sir.
Hmm.
I completed the 6 subjects of final year in final year itself. That was
Okay.
done. Uh, when in these 4 months, I didn't do a lot of question banks. I rather prefer these custom modules.
Custom modules. So
Uh,
even through those custom modules, I think so you were able to cover, if you were doing custom modules on a daily basis, it covered up a lot of your Q Bank.
yes, sir.
Perfect. And what was your bookmark strategy? Because another question which we get is that I have 4,000 bookmarks, 5,000 bookmarks. How do I bring it down, or how do I choose what to bookmark? How did you approach that problem?
I used to actually initially I used to star everything whichever I found. I used to bookmark, flag it, star it, flag it, star it. So then I understood if I flag everything, it'll not make sense. So from then I used to only star flag those which I was okay with. Matlab I would remember eventually
Hmm.
after reading the notes. I used to start those questions or yeah, I used to start those pearls which I felt I would anyways forget it, so that I would revise at the end. So I used to not star everything. I used to star very few, and I didn't have time to review all of the flagged ones, but yeah, starred ones I was perfect with them.
So you were selective in your bookmarks. I mean, otherwise
Yeah, starred
students can have
ones.
4,000, yeah, 4,000, 5,000 bookmarks, which we say that, each revision you bring them down by half.
Yes.
Perfect. So, Mansa, please, when did you start really believing that you could get a reasonable rank in INI-CET? And what was your approach in the last 7 to 10 days? What did you do in that period?
Sir, I actually wanted to write NEET. It was just my cutoff. INI-CET was my cutoff for studying everything.
Mhm.
So, which I couldn't. I left off few subjects. I left off radio. I didn't complete psychiatry. I didn't touch anesthesia. Yeah, forensic. I didn't do these subjects. So and I did. I thought I'll get something below 5,000. I was happy with 5,000. I
Right.
thought I would write the next NEET 2023. So it didn't build up panic or anxiety in me that I have to do it, have to do it. I just gave it a try, good try.
So there was
Uh,
no performance anxiety that you were
there was no
expecting to
anxiety.
crack the top 500,
Yes, sir.
even though your GT rank was around 600 prior to that, but you had kept a modest target of 5,000 in your mind.
5,000. I was happy with any rank less than 5,000.
Perfect. So what did you do in the last 7 to 10 days leading up to the exam?
read my notes. I read my notes multiple times. Like only I read notes of the first and the second year subjects along with
Hmm.
the PSM. I made sure I revised these some six subjects two times. I read
Mhm.
the notes and did PYQs the last 7 days.
Right. So we say that INI-CET, the rank is usually decided by the first 2 year subjects, and that is what
Uh,
you did in the last 7 to 10 days,
yes,
which is what paid dividends for you. And
yes.
what about the previous year topics and the questions? Did you make a list of those topics and questions, and did you make a sincere effort to revise them before the exam?
Yes, actually, I downloaded multiple PDFs. I guess I had so
Right.
many PDFs of these previous year topics and all.
Right.
But
Right.
at the end of the day, I solved so many PYQs and I knew which topic was important, what is important in that topic. Because I've been solving PYQ since 4 months, so I knew what were important.
So you used to just do custom modules of PYQs whenever you had a chance.
Yes, sir. I used to
Perfect.
put hashtag NEET and INI-CET, and I used to solve. It was like it was so entertaining. Like I don't know, I used to feel low, when I used to feel bad, or anytime I used to just solve PYQs.
You used to use it as a stress buster.
Yeah.
But that helped you to reinforce these things in your mind so that it was just at the spinal level you could answer these things, which is what we want. I mean, these PYQs and these topics should come out at the spinal level.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Great. And what about your friend circle? You said that everyone was using different sources. Some people had joined some offline coachings as well. So, I mean, how did you manage to stay in touch with them, yet not get affected by what they were doing, and keep yourself on track?
So most of my friends joined face-to-face classes, and they forced me to join there, but I rejected. I didn't accept to go with them, and I used to speak with them once a while, very rarely. And I have my best friends, like three of us. We are a trio, and so
Okay.
we stuck to Marrow. So we used to discuss every day what we read and what we're supposed to read, and we always talked about our GTs and yeah. So we three were like only Marrow, so it was fine for me.
So I think so that's another very important point. I mean, you need to surround yourself with like-minded people who are
Yes, sir.
following a similar strategy, because if you are following different strategies, then there are bound to be clashes when you talk, and that can cause a lot of anxiety. So
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, like for the three of you, and because you were following similar strategies, you could help out each other in your preparation as well.
Yes, it was like very helpful because we used to make schedules, and suppose I've read biochemistry, I would tell them what to not read, what not to read, what not to do, and yeah, and they would help me in the same way in another subject.
So, Dr. Mansa, the NEET PG exam is almost 3.5 months away. What would be your advice to other Marrow students who want to revise using Marrow? What would be your strategy for them for the next 3.5 months?
For revision, I would suggest them to watch the revision videos as many times as possible, at least twice. Then do master all the PYQs, because PYQs are the crux. They are the most important ones. And revise your consolidated notes, not just the note, but consolidated one, the one which you've made, or yeah, the consolidated notes. And yeah, watch MCQ discussion. It's a must because all the important topics. Yeah, I guess all the high yield. Almost about 80% of the questions will be from the MCQ discussion and revision videos.
So I think so. Just to add to that, like Mansa did, segregate your good subjects, your average subjects, your weak subjects. For the good and the average subjects, just rely on the MCQ discussion and the revision videos. They are enough, along with the PYQs and custom modules of PYQs and other important topics. For the weak subjects, be selective in those videos which you watch where the concepts you don't understand. But again, as Mansa said, the Q bank is the key. You need to do custom modules, you need to do PYQs and revision. So even if you're doing less, but if you're revising again and again, that would give you a better chance of getting a rank rather than just reading everything once but not revising. So, any parting comments, any words of motivation to those who are listening to this interview?
Yes, sir. I guess you should enjoy your journey rather than stressing it up. You should enjoy every day you get. You should be happy with whatever you're doing. If you're enjoying, you should enjoy 100%. And if you're studying, you should study 100%. Nothing in between. And yeah. And
I
eventually,
think so.
everyone
Having
reaches their goal.
positive mindset, like all throughout the interview, you've been smiling. There was no stress. When I spoke to you, you even during your preparation phase, you would have been relaxed like this. So having a positive mindset, I think so, is very important. So
My
thank you
mom
very much. Yes, please. You were saying, sorry, your mom and dad.
My mom and dad are so positive, and they always tell me that I can do anything. They never let me down any time since I was a child. And so I guess that I am very thankful to them.
Great. So that's what I'm saying. Having a positive mindset, surrounding yourself with positive people, and those who don't procrastinate, I think so that plays a huge role for any exam preparation. So thank you very much, Dr. Mansa, for taking out time and talking to us. And we congratulate you from the entire Marrow team for your rank, and we hope that you get your subject of choice in the second round of counseling. So what are the subjects which you're aiming for?
I always was a surgery person, so I like OBG, surgery, or ENT. I'm happy with any of them.
I'm sure at your rank you'll get either one of them. So, all the very best, and it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.